Hello, everyone. Welcome to the present show. Mindful Pat here with Lele. And we have a very special guest today from Australia. Yes, we're connected to you from Australia, John?
Yes.
John is a mindfulness master, a coach, a mentor. He's the full package when it comes to mindfulness.
It's always a pleasure to share the mindfulness message, because it's really great to see that mindfulness is becoming mainstream now, whereas 9 years ago when I started my practice, it was certainly alternative.
What got you to start your practice?
I started my journey really in 1982 on my father's 65th birthday, actually, 9th of June 1982, and I died in a truck smash, a horrific truck smash. My dog was killed, and obviously they revived me, but I had a lot of physical injuries. I needed operations on my back and other things, and I had a brain injury as well. And I woke up sometime later in the hospital. I don't even know how much later it was. But what was worse than the physical injuries was the 15 years of mental suffering that followed. I certainly wasn't awake to what was really going on. And then what changed my life really was in 1997. I got a knock on my door, and it was an old friend who I hadn't seen for 20 years. And he had what he called a spiritual prompt to come and knock on my door and share his story. And it was that story that led to my spiritual awakening 2 days later. And it changed my life. I realized that at my core, it's a very simple thing. At my core, I'm a spirit, and I have a connection with everything. Amazing. And that was enough to end my depression. I haven't been depressed since, 21 years now. And it was enough to get me off medications as well. And it's been quite an amazing journey. And what I found was a book called The Happiness Trap. And it's written by an Australian doctor, Dr. Russ Harris. And it's a book about ACT. And ACT stands for Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. It's also a mindfulness-based therapy. When we pursue happiness, it can avoid us. You know, if we pursue anything really, it's not the way to go.
If you could give just a short summary of what ACT, the therapy is.
We accept where we are in the present moment, no matter how good or bad that is, and then we make a commitment to act on our values. And what ACT does, it teaches you to go from the negative and unhelpful thoughts, and mindfulness is all about awareness and noticing. So when we notice those unhelpful negative thoughts, or we notice our mind in the past, which can make us depressed, or in the future, which can make us anxious, when we notice that, but we tell ourselves to be mindful. It's like our heart giving our mind an instruction to pause, and it only takes a few seconds. We pause and we connect. And in ACT, we connect with our values, because it's our values that guide our lives. And if you understand what values are, it's what we stand for. It's what's important to us. It's how we want to be remembered when we're gone. So when we notice those unhelpful and negative thoughts come along, for example, then we switch our minds. When we notice it, we don't do anything, because when you realize, like I did way back 21 years ago, that thoughts are just that, they're just thoughts. There's no real need to dwell on them or act on them or fight with them or try and avoid them with drugs or alcohol or working hard, or a whole lot of different things we can do to avoid our own thoughts.
You did the training, then you went to work with the juveniles, and that's when you really started not only living, but also teaching others mindfulness, yes? And it brought you to
Absolutely.
Your business where you're now coaching it. And what are you doing currently?
I can simplify it this way, and you'll see it all over my Facebook and Instagram and wherever, on social media and my website and the organisation I started as well. You'll see be mindful, pause, connect. And that's how I can simplify 9,000 hours of study. That's the practice. like I always say, be mindful. And that's like your heart giving your mind an instruction. Because honestly, the longest journey we'll ever make, and it's certainly true for me, is about 15 inches from our mind to our heart. And as you develop a mindful practice, you certainly do start thinking with your heart. So the practice, be mindful. When you notice those unhelpful or negative thoughts, when you notice your mind elsewhere, anywhere except where your body is, in the past or the future, come back to the present moment. And with the instruction, be mindful. Tell your brain to pause. You know, that's the trigger. Be mindful. And it triggers a pause, just a few seconds. And we connect. And this is where the power is. We connect with where we are, and it doesn't matter where we are or what's going on. We connect with it through our five senses, our sight and hearing, smell, taste, and touch, whatever. We connect with who we're with, like right now, with Emmanuel and Patrick. We connect with full presence. Mm-hmm. And I love the name of your show, by the way, the Present Show. That's awesome. So when you're fully present with me, when I'm talking, and I probably talk too much, then you're fully present, and I sense that. And when you're talking, I'll be fully present with you, and we have a connection. And the other part of the connection, and the most important part, is connecting with our source energy. It can't be scientifically proven, and I certainly recognise that. But once you start connecting with your source energy, whatever you believe that to be, and I'm not talking about any religion here, because that's one of the beautiful things about mindfulness. It's not a religion. It's not religious. And when I say that, I really mean it, because when you follow a religion, you follow a certain thing that everybody follows, a certain teaching or a certain whatever. But with mindfulness, we all practice it in our own unique ways. And the very good reason for that is we are all unique. Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. So don't worry about me if I get a little bit excited about mindfulness, because I always do. You know, it's excellent. Yeah. And I believe, you know, the world really needs a mindful practice, and all religions and governments need a mindful practice, and we need to teach our kids as well, and it's very teachable.
How do you convince who is totally not willing to listen?
If someone's not willing to listen, there's nothing you can do.
I think when you start practicing, time flows in a completely different way, right? You could give different importance, apart because you want to be present. Did you also notice something similar?
Time is precious, really. I know for myself, since I started a mindful practice, what I do every morning, I walk my little dogs down to the golf course and watch the sunrise. It's a beautiful time of day. I usually leave home in the dark, and I get down there and watch the sunrise. And that's what I worship. You know, if I want to worship something, I choose the sun. So I raise my hands to the sunrise each morning, and I say, what are we doing today, soul? And then I silence my mind, which is mindfulness, and listen, not with my ears. My ears are hearing the birds singing and the sounds of nature, and nature speaks. But really I'm listening to the silence in between the bird sounds. And then when you silence your mind and you're in that state, then the universe speaks. And I get my instruction for that day. And it's all about one day at a time. And I often say these days, the power of mindfulness is in the silence between our thoughts. So I would encourage everybody to develop a mindful practice. Get started today.
Get started today.
Yes. Yeah. Just like a smile, the presence is also contagious.
Yeah.
So the more present you are around others, then they will too sort of catch on to the presence.
Once you start developing a mindful practice, you start to see the beauty in the world. You start to see the light in everybody, no matter how dark they actually are. You don't see that. You see the light in them. And of course, when you do that, they see the light in you. That's why we say namaste. When you see dark in people, then it might be time to have a little look at yourself, because there could also be that same dark in yourself. Mm-hmm. So it works both ways. Everything starts with giving. When you give respect, you get respect. When you give love, you get love. It all starts with giving, because it's when you give. So what you give is what you get. And it's so true. You know, some people call that karma. Okay, call it what you like, but it works.
Do you have a night ritual that you do also before you go to bed, John?
I think gratitude is a great way to end the day. You know, just recap the day, if you like, and name a couple of things that you're grateful for this day. And as you build a gratitude practice as well as a mindful practice, that's very powerful on its own. Mm-hmm. You know, because when we start being grateful for what we have, doors start opening to have more.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you, everyone.